Wonderful. What a joy it is to be with you, those of you here in the room, but also joining online. And I thought what I'd do today on this beautifully sunny day, to start, I'll show you a little picture of a desert island. You know, just summer's coming, it's on the way. Annabelle and I are going on holiday in a week's time to Scotland, so not sure we'll see this, but looking at this desert island or thinking about your holiday destination of choice, here's a question for you. How many of you would like to go here by yourself, just you, for a whole day? Give me a wave. Yeah, and a cheer as well. We can do cheers. Yeah, one day. Okay. How would you like to go here by yourself for a week? Okay, still quite a few, maybe a few less. How about a month? A year? How about the rest of your life by yourself? You know, time without people is great, isn't it? It's great. It's great to get away from all the hustle and bustle and what's going on. It's really great until it's not. It's really great until you need someone to help you build a fire, someone to give you wisdom, someone to give you guidance. It's great until you need conversation, companionship, someone to make you laugh. Like, I like to think I'm sometimes a bit funny, but even I run out of jokes in my own mind. I need others around me. It's great until you need support, people to stand with you. In this church context, people to pray with you, to believe with God that things are going to change in your life. It's great until you need love. Someone to love you and show that they love you, their affection, their words, their touch. And in those moments, for me, I'm like, get me off that island and get me back to my people. Because we all need moments alone. Don't we all need moments to withdraw, what in the Christian tradition is called solitude, time to be away, to be with Jesus, to collect our thoughts. But if we spend our whole life that way, then we're asking for a lifetime of loneliness. We're asking for a lifetime without all of the joys and the blessings that come with community. And in fact, it's interesting, when you read the Bible, the first thing that God says is not good is for people to be alone. Second page of the Bible, Genesis 2, it is not good for man to be alone. It is not good for anyone to be by themselves. We're not complete by ourselves. No woman, no man is an island. We need other people. And this is where we come to our practice for today, the practice of community, or more fully experiencing and demonstrating the love of God in Christian community. You know, there are so many things wonderful about the Christian faith. You know, we get to be loved by a heavenly Father who made us, who's the creator of heaven and earth, and he knows us intimately, and he loves us. We believe in one Jesus who came and gave his life for us so that we could have forever with him. We believe that we're made on purpose for purpose, but also I'd put right up there in the amazing things about the Christian faith, this reality that we are invited into community. We are invited to be part of a family. We're invited to build friendships with people, some who are like us, some who are very different. And this is the wonder of the Christian faith. For you here today, if you've been part of this church for ages, a Christian for ages, I want to invite you in afresh into this community. If it's your first time, maybe you're still exploring, maybe you've got questions, maybe you're here because actually you've come to a point where you're like, I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to come to church. You are welcome. I want to invite you in to this community, this church family. Nicky Gumbel, who was a vicar for many years, he pioneered the wonderful Alpha course. He said these words, he said, church is not an organization you join, it's a family where you belong, a home where you are loved, and a hospital where you find healing. Come and be a part of it. Come and be a part of this. And you know, for me personally, I've actually been really challenged by this, not just over the last couple of months as I've been thinking about this message, but over the last couple of years. You know, I've preached on community many times here, and I will continue to preach on community because it's so vital, so important to human flourishing. But over the last couple of years, I've realized, like, I can preach on it as much as I want, but if I'm not living it, if I'm not in community, if I haven't got these things that I'm telling you about, then what's it all for? So I've made some changes in my life, which I'm going to just kind of share little bits about as we go through. But where we're going to root ourselves is in the life of Jesus. These practices, we're following the way of Jesus. So we want to look at three things that we can see about how Jesus lived his life in rich and satisfying community. Because if you read through the Gospels, the biographies of Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you'll see that he spent so much time with people. I tried to do a little bit of chat GPT analysis to work out exactly how much time. What I concluded was a lot. A lot. He was with people all the time, and he did so many different things with them. He did ordinary life. He walked with them. He talked with them. He prayed. He shared meals with them. He celebrated with them, big highs, big parties, and he brought them into his lowest moments. People around him. And as I was thinking about this, it made me wonder, like, why? Why did Jesus surround himself with people? Like Jesus, God in human form, surely if there was anyone ever who could live a self-sufficient life, it would have been Jesus. Anyone who would never need people, it would be Jesus. But no, here he is again and again with people, experiencing the joys of the blessing of community. And he knew it because he's the one who made us. He knows what's in our heart. He knows how we're wired. But also, here's the wonder, Jesus wasn't just experiencing community when he came to earth. He'd been experiencing community for all eternity. We don't believe in a God who sits apart kind of all by himself. We believe in what we call the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. One God, three persons, united together by love, united by relationship. Some people have called it this dance of love that Jesus had always experienced. So it's no wonder when he came to earth that he sought out community and he sought out that same reality. And so here we come to our first point. The first thing we see about community is this. Community will not just happen to you. Community will not just happen to you. Some things in life just happen, don't they? Like Wi-Fi cutting out just at that moment when you need it in the middle of that Teams call. Or losing socks. I pulled out 5 socks from my drawer the other day, all different. No idea where the other ones have gone. These things just happen somehow, but community will not just happen to you. And we see Jesus living this way. He was so intentional about being with people. Sometimes he would invite people to be with him. We see this with some of his friends. We see it with Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip, Matthew. People that he saw them and he said, hey, come be with me. Come spend time with me. Come be with me over the next few years. He invited them in. He also responded to invitations. There's this wonderful story about a wedding that happens in Cana. And we read in the biblical text, it says, there was a wedding and Jesus and his disciples were invited. And they said no. No, they didn't. They said yes, didn't they? They responded to that open door. Another one, a woman called Martha, it says she opened up her house to Jesus and he came in and he met with them. He spent time with them. Jesus also did something which I'm thinking I might start doing a little bit more of, which is he invited himself into other people's lives and other people's homes. There's a man called Zacchaeus who was hungry and searching for Jesus. And what we discover is Jesus was also searching for him. Because Jesus said, Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house for lunch. I'm coming to your house. Maybe we should do a little bit of that after church on a Sunday. Jesus created community intentionally. He needed it. And there's a truth here today that if we want community, if we want relationships, friendship, family, then we can do something about it. We too can be intentional in giving invitations or responding to invitations. And in fact, you've actually already taken that step because you're here. You've chosen to be here in this room, in this group of people. So give yourself a little round of applause. Well done, first step on the practice. You're underway. But this isn't enough. This isn't enough, is it? It's wonderful to be part of something bigger, but you can only build so much relationship and friendship and community for 2 hours a week with a couple of hundred people. There is more. There's a greater depth that we are all invited into. And there's been loads of research done on this about kind of different relational spheres, different sizes of people that we want to be a part of. And there is a win to the big. We need the big. We need to be part of something bigger, a big tribe. There's a guy called Dunbar who's from the city of Oxford. And great city. He did some research and he talked about as you come in through the spheres, eventually you get to these 2 inner spheres. The places actually that we really, really need. And he talks about one, which are your close friends. This is a group of 12 to 15 people that you do life with. That you see them regularly, definitely monthly, but probably more like weekly, that you eat with them, that you talk with them, that you laugh with them, that you help each other out, that you drive each other to hospitals, that you celebrate parties with, that you help them move house. That's a good clue for who might be in that group for you. Who, if they called me to move house, would I say yes to? They're the people that you pray for, genuinely, regularly. They're the people who pray for you. They're the people you go to for wisdom. 12 to 15, close friends. And then an even smaller circle of kind of 1 to 5 people, your intimate friends. Like these are your friends, like your BFFs, your ride or dies. Like these are the people who, they do all of those things, but there's also something more. They're the people who you've shared some stuff with that's really deep. You've shared your weaknesses, you've shared your pains, you've shared your hopes and dreams, and they've listened and they've understood and they've loved you through it and they've stood by with you. Those relationships that have been tested and will be tested, and they're there with you. 12 to 15, 1 to 5. Unsurprisingly, Jesus modeled this. 2,000 years before Dunbar, we see Jesus living this life, don't we? We see he had his 12 to 15. He had his 12 disciples, and he had Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, this group of people. He spent a lot of time with them. And then he had that inner circle of Peter, James, and John that he shared those most intimate moments with. And again, I'd like to propose that if Jesus needed this, maybe you and I do too. Maybe you and I need these groups of people. And as a church, we kind of create a way, like a step for you to begin finding those, and that's life groups. Groups that meet around the city and the region, some online, some in homes, some in public spaces. Groups, often of around 12 people, surprising how that happens, where you can start to build together. I was chatting to someone in our Cambridge church family. They've just joined a life group, and I was asking them what it's like. And so she kind of shared some of these words. She said, to begin with, it was the slow, shy, and awkward process of making new adult friends. Anyone ever had that? Slow to start, but then it began to build. And she says it's been so refreshing to be in a community where everyone shares that deep understanding of church life, pursues Jesus with similar passion. They've challenged me. Some even fast lunch every Friday. She says it truly feels like family. I'm deeply grateful God brought me to this new life group. I'm now more rooted in community than ever before. Now, that's one story of many that we could share. That might be your story already. If so, I'm so pleased for you. If it's not, then I want to invite you in. If you've never joined a life group, I want to invite you today. Come and find one. You might have been here just today. This is your first time checking us out. Again, you might not call yourself a Christian. You're invited into one of our groups. You might have been here a decade and you've never taken that step, or maybe you did and it didn't quite work out. Again, I want to invite you in. Come and be part of community. Come and find this 12 to 15 that you're going to do life with. And again, I was sharing for me, I've been challenged in this personally. You know, I have the privilege to spend a lot of my life with people, surrounded by people, but I've increasingly been thinking I just want to make sure that I've got people in that ring. That I've got these people that I am seeing regularly, that I'm committing to, that I'm being intentional with. And so again, I started creating those spaces more and more, upping the regularity, upping the time I'm spending with people. Again, maybe some of you here, you're in a life group, but the reality is it's been 1 month, 2 months since you went. Again, come today and be a part of it. But there are also maybe some of you here, you're like, yeah, I've got that. I've got my 12 to 15. I actually even lead a life group. So Chris, I'm one step ahead of you. I want to invite you today. Who are those handful of people? Who are those handful of people? They're not going to be people who go from way out to really close and intimate, but who are those few people that you can start to let down some of those walls, some of those barriers, to share life with, to ask those penetrating questions, not just what Netflix show did you watch this weekend, but what's really going on in your life? And how can I stand with you and help you? Again, for me, I've had one in this group for a long time, my wife, Annabelle. But again, I've been realizing that I also need some others who really know me and love me through it all. And you know, a great way to build both of these groups, the 12 to 15, the 1 to 5, is through the wonder that is food. Through eating together, because there is nothing much that beats eating with community. McDonald's get this. Right, McDonald's really understands this. I'm not generally a fan of advertising, personally, but I think McDonald's adverts, they get this. They understand this reality. If you watch a McDonald's advert, it's not like this. Oh, great, breakfast time. Must be time for a McMuffin. Let me come over here all by myself and eat my muffin by myself, all alone, lonely. They don't do that, do they? They're doing that. What do? This is how McDonald's run adverts. If you're watching McDonald's, take this one for free. Here you go. But this is what they do. They go, oh, right, breakfast time. Must be time for a McMuffin. Oh, hey, you know what? Why don't I eat this with someone else? Why don't I find a friend? Hey, Simon Ben, you around anywhere? Come on, my friend, come and join me. Yeah. I've got your little, no, that's not you. This one's you. This is you, bacon raw with ketchup. Come on, my friend, enjoy it. Cold. It's been there a little bit of time, but I love you, so I wanted to eat with you. And hey, you know what they say? Like, two's company, but three's community. Come on. So who else? Hey, Irina, I bought you some pancakes. You want to come join? Come on, Irina. Come and have these pancakes. I got you this. You want some Lurpak butter? This looks like curry sauce, but it's actually pancakes. And actually, you know, we got one more. You know who I think would love this? I think John Igo. Hey, John, come join us. My friend, they didn't have the fillet of fish ready at this time of day, but I got you a little muffin. I think this one's actually yours. There you go, tuck on in, enjoy, come on. And guys, I was a little bit sad before, but now I'm loving it. Golden arches. There we go, let's give these guys a big well done. You can keep enjoying that, or you can leave it. I did pick these up on the way to the first service, so. They get it. And now the cynic might say they're using our deep need for community to sell greasy fast food. They are. But they've also realized something. They've realized that food is great and friends are great, and you bring them together and you get something special. Because there's nothing much that beats eating with community. And again, unsurprisingly, we see Jesus doing this. We see him living his life eating meals. We've touched on a few of them already. A wedding in Cana, accepting invitations into homes, inviting himself into homes. But there's so many more. He ate with tax collectors. He ate with Pharisees, religious teachers. He ate with those that in the Bible and in that time were deemed as sinners. He shared a meal with them. He shared a meal probably a couple of times with thousands of people on a hillside. And he shared meals with his disciples after he'd come back from the dead. I love this. He's like, guys, I'm back. Breakfast? Mackies? He loved it. In fact, there's one author called Tim Chester. He wrote a book and he says, in Luke's gospel, Jesus is either going to a meal, at a meal, or coming from a meal. Like, it's a great way to live. It's a great way to live. And again, it challenges me. I wonder, how many meals do you eat a week? Most of us probably 3 a day, 7, so probably about 21. When I was a student, it was knocking up towards the 40, a little bit more. How many do you eat a week? And how many of those are with others? Yes, your family and your household, people you live with, if that's your situation, but work colleagues, people you study with, your life group, your close friends. What would it look like to just increase our regularity of eating with people? And again, for me and Annabelle, we started being much more intentional about this. We started bringing food into some of the things we already do. So every 6 weeks, we meet with the Cambridge leadership team and we now eat together. We spend that time around the table to start. As my good friend Gallia once said, a meeting without eating is just Some of you, it'll come. We bring food into those places. We've also been so intentional at the start of each few months, we look at it and we go, we know we want to have meals with these people, so let's get them in the diary. And sometimes it takes a month to find that time. So like, what about this day? Then I can't, and then you're back and forth, but you find that time. Sometimes I've realized more, I make an arrangement to meet someone for lunch and then forget about it, as happened on Friday. You coming for lunch? Yes. I forgot, but I'm coming. Being more intentional about eating with others. And actually, the reality is for me, like, I'm working on this, but I get so inspired by our church family. There's a wonderful couple called Luke and Natalie Cathy, 4 beautiful kids. And I was going to say that they started eating together as a life group. That's not actually true. They started their life group by eating together. Like, that's the foundation of what they do. And they said this. They said, we meet weekly as families, sharing food and life around our table. This humble, everyday act of eating together is a beautiful, life-giving connection point as a community and with God as he dwells with us. We've become family. We can all come as we are, often tired, without pretending, to contribute to the table and feast together. For many of the children and adults, it has become the highlight of our week and a spirit-filled moment for delight and fun. Ultimately, it's where we are slowly shaped into more Jesus-shaped people. I love that. It's not, and it doesn't have to be a banquet. It can be simple fare, bring and share. Mackey's, other fast food outlets are available. But just getting that time to eat with others. It's great fun, but there's also something deeper as well. Because you know, in the first century Jewish context that Jesus lived in, Food wasn't just about, hey, we're hungry, let's eat some food. It wasn't just about, let's have some fun together, but there was a real deep meaning behind it. It meant, I associate with you. I accept you. I trust you. We are together. We're equal. We're united. And so this meal wasn't just a party. It was a significant moment of going, you know what? You and I together, united. Let's do this. And I think the same is true for us. When we eat with people, it creates and demonstrates this sense of unity, this sense of being together, which is straight from the heart of God. Towards the end of his life, Jesus gathered his life group. He had a meal. And in the middle of that meal, he prayed this prayer. He said, my prayer is not for them alone. That's just the 12. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message. That's us here today. That all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. Jesus' prayer that we would be one, that we would be united. And that doesn't mean that we would all be the same, that we'd be this like mush together, not being able to distinguish. No, the context he uses like, just as you, the Father, and I are one, united but different, so too we are called to be beautifully diverse and yet united together. And he shared this prayer for unity while eating with his disciples in the context of a meal. You know, our heart for church is that we would be united. That we would be a place where every nation, tribe, and tongue can come together in worship before the King of Kings. A place where all the generations can belong, where we can love one another, learn from one another. Whatever your background, whatever your education, whatever your background, it doesn't matter. We want to be a place where we can come together united. And maybe food might just play a little bit of a part in that. Maybe this thing of eating together with people who don't just look like us, don't just think like us, don't just support the same sports team as us, don't just live the same way as us might be part of this. And again, I find this challenging when I think about my table. Who am I eating with? Thankfully, I've got a good friend, Charles Caranja, who's always up for a little bit of a walk and a bacon butty. That was a meal I didn't forget on Friday. But again, I want to call us into this. Yes, it's good to hang out with people that you already know and you already connect with, but what would it look like to invite others to share a meal, to be with you? Just a thought. And into this prayer and into this meal, at the end of his life, Jesus introduced communion. They were eating together, and it says that Jesus took bread and he broke it. While they were eating, he said, this is my body, broken for you. And he took the wine and he said, this is my blood, poured out for you for the forgiveness of sins. I love that this was in the context of a meal. You know, we can take communion anytime, anywhere. We're actually going to be doing it together at the end of this service, so it's kind of be ready for that in a few minutes' time. But what might it look like to take communion with a meal? We did this last week, actually. Simon Ben gathered the worship leaders, and before we ate, we shared communion together. This kind of joy-filled moment of receiving again what Jesus has done for us. As students and young adults in Cambridge, we're going to be doing on Tuesday. We're going to have a meal. We're going to take communion. What could that look like for you in the midst of that place? But before we take communion, one last thing that I just want us to lean into together. In that meal, when Jesus was sharing, when Jesus was praying, he said these words. He said, a new command I give you, love one another. A new command I give you, love one another. And this is so key. You know, intentionality is important. Eating together is powerful. But ultimately, the foundation and the goal for everything that we're trying to do as community has to be love. It has to be. We need to be rooted and grounded in love, growing in love, learning to love. Love that is not just based on similarities, not that's based on good times, not just that's based on emotions, good as they may be, but a love that goes deeper. In the Greek, this word is agape, a love that is self-giving, a love that cares more for you than it cares for me. A type of love that Paul, who was a man, he had his life changed by Jesus. He went on to write these words. He said, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. Always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. You know, we need to learn to love like this. We need to learn to love like this, because as wonderful as community is, it can also be really, really hard. It can also be really difficult, really painful. And I bet there's some of you sitting here for the last 20 minutes, you've been like, Chris, that's all good and well, but you don't know my story. You don't know what happened to me. I tried that. I tried to trust. I tried to open up, and I got hurt. And you're right, I don't know your story, but I know mine, and I know the human condition well enough to know that that's what happens when we choose to risk, when we choose to love, when we choose to open up. There are times when we get hurt, and in those moments, we can choose. In those moments when people do things that we don't like, say things that we don't like, don't do the things we expect them to do when they hurt us, we can choose to leave and actually say, that's too hard, I'm done, I've had enough. Or we can choose to love and choose to learn how to love. Because the reality is, without that, we're absolutely stuffed. All the food in the world will not cover a heart that's not loving. All the choosing in the world will not keep us together in the long term. Got to have love. And we can learn to love by spending a bit of time with this passage, 1 Corinthians 13. I remember reading something once that said, kind of read through this slowly and put your name in where it says love and let the Holy Spirit speak to you. So when I try and do this, I get, Chris is patient. And I have to pause quite a long time, start going, is he? Is he really? You might want to do that this week. You might want to spend half an hour, 1 Corinthians 13, just going through. I've been trying to memorize it. I'm not quite there yet. I've been trying to get this in my heart because this is the way I want to live. Learn by meditating on that scripture. Learn by doing it, particularly the bits that you find hard. Might be as you go through, you come to love is not self-seeking. We all struggle at times with selfishness, but what might it look like this week? You could say, hey, every day this week, I'm going to choose to do something that is not about me at all and is totally for someone else, a true altruistic act. I want to grow in that. It might be you come to love keeps no record of wrongs, and you realize actually that you have got records of wrongs up on the wall of your heart, and actually God might be calling you to say, let's love today. Let's love together. Let's take that record down. But ultimately, as we learn to love, maybe the biggest thing that we learn is that we can't love this way by ourselves. I cannot love perfectly. You cannot love perfectly. But I do know one who can. I do know one who loved so much that he gave up perfection and unity in heaven, and he came and entered into the mess of humanity. I know one who was so patient with the disciples when they kept getting it wrong again and again and again. When his friends left, he was endlessly patient with them, and he's endlessly patient with me. I do know one who entered into people's sin and hurt with kindness, and one who enters into my sin and hurt with his kindness still today. I know one who lived his whole life, not for his own fame and glory, but giving himself away for others, true self-seeking love, and he's giving himself away for me too. I know one who kept no record of wrongs with his friends when again they messed up, they left him, but forgave them, who forgave them at the cross and who forgives us today. And I know one who always trusts, always hopes, who persevered through death for you and for me. And in case you hadn't realized, his name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. And so when I get to that point of realizing, you know what, I can't love perfectly, I come to Jesus. I come to him to be inspired by what does love look like, to learn from him. Like, teach me, Jesus. I come to him for help. Like, Jesus, fill me with your spirit. Like, help me to love. Fruit of the spirit is love. Like, help me, I need you. But I come to Jesus again to receive, because I know that I cannot love if I am not first receiving his love again and again and again. And maybe as I keep coming before him saying, God, in the midst of my mess and everything going on, love me, that's when it starts to flow. As one of Jesus' best friends, John, said, John, who called himself the disciple who Jesus loved, he said these words, we love because he first loved us. Which draws me back to this meal. Which draws me back to communion, which draws me back to this act of remembering all that he's done for me, for you when he died at the cross, and receiving again, receiving his forgiveness for the ways I've messed up, and receiving his love in my life and his ability to help me. So in just a couple of minutes' time, we're going to take communion. Just want to invite the worship team back up. And actually all of us, would you stand with me? In a couple of minutes, we're going to take communion, but why don't we start just by preparing our hearts? Now we're going to sing a little bit of this song. It starts with these words: worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of every praise we could ever bring. So we sing, let's just take a moment here today. And again, you might be here and you're a Christian, you might be here and you're like, this is all kind of new to me. But we're just going to take a minute. We're going to sing these words together as we prepare our hearts for communion. So team, if you would lead us, that'd be amazing.